96 years, Fiji was under British rule. Then, on October the 10th, 1970, came independence. The British government restored independence willingly at the request of the government of Fiji, following a constitutional conference in London in April 1970. A great-great-great-grandson of Queen Victoria, Charles, Prince of Wales, came to Fiji as the representative of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, to present official documents which restored independence to Fiji. Independence came at precisely 10 o'clock on the morning of October the 10th, 1970. 96 years to the day after the cession of the islands to the British Crown on October the 10th, 1874.
Bulavanaka, Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me the utmost pleasure to offer President Kodrute, Prime Minister Bainimarama, and all the people of the Republic of Fiji my warmest and heartfelt greetings on this 50th anniversary of your independence. I recall with immense fondness my visit to Suva in 1970, when I represented Her Majesty the Queen at Fiji's independence ceremony. On that occasion, I was so deeply touched by the warmth of the Fijian welcome, by the solemn traditional ceremonies, by the music, the dancing, and the remarkable hospitality that was afforded to me, and have retained such very special and treasured memories of my visit ever since. As a result of that visit, when I was only 21, I have felt a lasting affection for the Fijian people. Over those past 5 decades, I have been fortunate enough to have visited Fiji on a number of subsequent occasions. In 1974, I was a young naval officer serving in HMS Jupiter when she visited Fiji for the centenary celebrations, and I recall with great nostalgia taking part in a yaviro in the beautiful lagoon of Mbenga Island. Then I came in 1985 on my way to Australia, and my last visit was in 2005. As I've said, throughout all these years, Fiji and her people have held a special place in my heart, and I had dearly hoped, therefore, to have been able to be with you all again this year and to have joined you in celebrating this special anniversary. You can have no idea how profoundly saddened I am that this dreadful global pandemic should have prevented me from being there with you in person. I can assure you, however, that I shall be with you in spirit. I do know that this pernicious virus, together with recent extreme weather events, such as Tropical Cyclone Harold, have had such a heavy and disruptive impact on your economy and on people's lives and livelihoods. My heart goes out to you all at such a desperately difficult time, together with my profound admiration for the remarkable efforts of those working on the front line to keep Fiji and her people safe during these particularly challenging circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, this anniversary is an opportunity to celebrate all that the Republic of Fiji has achieved over the last 50 years in social and economic development, in ensuring access to education and health services, and in preserving your culture, traditions, and precious ecosystems. And none of us, not least those of us in the United Kingdom, will easily forget seeing the Fiji Rugby Sevens team bring home gold medals from the 2016 Olympic Games. In so many ways, Fiji has become a much admired and respected force for good in the world. This is particularly true on the vitally important issue of climate change, an urgent global crisis confronting us all, and which we all have a responsibility to address. Fiji has shown important leadership in this regard, chairing an effective COP23 in 2017, and setting a clear ambition with your net zero carbon emissions target by 2050. This could hardly be more important as we near another significant milestone in the fight against climate change at COP26 in Glasgow next year. For my part, through my Sustainable Markets Initiative and the Great Reset, I am working to build global coalitions to set our planet on a more sustainable trajectory, putting nature and communities at the heart of a circular bioeconomy. As Fiji celebrates 50 years of independence, I will do my utmost through my Sustainable Markets Initiative to assist Fiji and your region secure a more sustainable future for you, your children, and your grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, on this auspicious occasion, I did also want to pay tribute to the thousands of Fijian men and women who make such a vital contribution to the British Armed Forces, many of whom I have had the great pleasure of meeting over the years. The United Kingdom is immensely grateful for the exemplary service and courage of our Fijian personnel, some of whom, tragically, have made the ultimate sacrifice in the cause of global peace and security. We are also deeply grateful to their families, who offer them such vital support and play such an active and valued part in our communities. All of them are a huge credit to their country, and I'm sure that all Fijians are enormously proud of them, as indeed am I. As we honour and celebrate the achievements of Fiji over the past 50 years, we can also look forward to a future of continued partnership. The United Kingdom and Fiji share a truly special bond as fellow members of the Commonwealth and as friends and beneficiaries of a common heritage. I have every confidence that we shall remain trusted partners over the years ahead, and that the ties between us will endure. For our part, my family and I will continue to champion this bond in whatever way we can. For now, my wife joins me in offering all Fijians our special blessings and congratulations on 50 years of the Republic of Fiji. You have so much to celebrate, and our kindest thoughts and wishes go out to each and every one of you. Blessing grant, O God of nations, on the Isles of Fiji. Vinaka Vakalevu.
Pulavinaka, namaste, noa ia I mauri, and happy Fiji Day to you all. Today is a significant moment in your history as you mark the Golden Jubilee of your independence. And I want to firstly acknowledge the privilege you've accorded me in inviting me to provide one of the Independence Day addresses for this year's Fiji Day celebration. I come to you in my capacity as the defence champion for all Fijians serving in the UK Armed Forces, a role I feel very privileged to have been asked to take on when I was approached earlier this year. My name is Major General David Eastman, and I'm the General Officer Commanding Regional Command which is the organisation charged with the delivery of firm-based support to the Army, its personnel and their dependents in the United Kingdom, Germany, Nepal and Brunei. In my 32 years of military service, I've been lucky enough to meet a wide cross-section of Fijians. Those that I've had the honour to command, the families that have welcomed me and my family into the numerous Lovo feasts, listening to the peaceful harmony of a makeshift choir, or, of course, on the receiving end of a rib-jarring tackle during a rugby match, although that represents many of my less treasured Fijian experiences over the years. Of course, there was always a very polite apology after the awesome tackle, though. Either way, the Fijian aura is unique and one that I have come to adore. From a personal perspective, I spent a fabulous few days in Suva whilst attending the Australian College of Defence and Strategic Studies, sharing the Grand Pacific Hotel with the Fijian national rugby team just before the World Cup last year, and that was an amazing experience. And another fabulous week last year on my second honeymoon, enjoying the scenic beauty of Matamanoa Island in the Mamanuca. So I have been fortunate enough to have had just a little sample of some of the magic of Fiji. As you celebrate your 50th anniversary of independence, I want to acknowledge the unique relationship that Fijians have with the British Army. You may be aware that today also marks 106 years since the establishment by the British in 1914 of a battalion-sized Fiji Defence Force to protect the islands during World War I. And also around 100 of your young men formed the Fijian Labour Detachment, which was sent to Italy to assist with the war in Europe. Although Fiji's involvement in the First World War was minimal and the islands remained mostly untouched by the conflict, this was not the case at the outbreak of World War II, when the Fiji military force expanded to include a headquarters, a signals unit and 2 territorial battalions, which saw action in the Solomon and Malaya campaigns under a New Zealand-led battle group. In 1936, New Zealand assumed responsibility for the defence of Fiji, and 2 Fiji infantry battalions and a commando unit saw active service in the Guadalcanal and Bougainville. It was from these skirmishes in the Pacific against the invading Japanese that Fijians became renowned as fierce jungle fighters, and where Corporal Sefanaya Sukanaivalu posthumously earned the island's first Victoria Cross. So these historical accolades seem to have planted a seed within the British military leadership, and in 1961 the British Armed Forces enlisted 200 men and 12 women from what was then the Crown Colony of Fiji. And these fierce warriors and competitive sportsmen were to be famously known as the 212. 7 of the 200 men served with the elite Special Air Service, and it was at the Battle of Mirbat in Oman that 2 Fijians within a team of 9 staved off almost 250 fighters from the Popular Front for the liberation of Oman. The gentle warrior, Sergeant Talayasi Lambalamba, BEM, mentioned in dispatches, single-handedly operating an old World War II 25-pound artillery piece, normally requiring 3 men, firing the weapon in a direct fire role despite several injuries. His courage, tenacity, passion, and understanding of what was at stake caused him to pay the ultimate sacrifice, in the process saving a nation. An attitude and character that has become the benchmark for aspiring warriors around the world. As the 212 era came to the end of their service, their legacy was cemented in history in the memorial statue of Sergeant Lambalamba, which now stands proudly outside the Warrant Officers and Senior Non-Commissioned Officers Mess in Hereford and at Sergeant Lambalamba's hometown at Nandi International Airport. Of course, we also remember at this time the 14 Fijians that have fallen in the sands of Iraq and Afghanistan, paying the ultimate sacrifice for security, peace, and liberty since that time. The continued excellent relationship between our 2 countries saw another boom in Fijian recruiting in early 2000, and almost 2,300 Fijians joined up. The reasons for leaving your beautiful country vary, and it is my hope that most of you have fulfilled or are on your way to fulfilling the ambitions that lay behind that decision. I'm delighted to see Fijians doing well in defence, with 136 service personnel in the middle to senior levels of our military leadership. We've had a Fijian commanding a regular unit. Some have had the privilege of commanding a subunit. A few have reached Sergeant Major, and we have now had a Fijian who has climbed to the pinnacle as a regimental Sergeant Major. A great achievement. More are now subject matter experts in their chosen specialist fields, and their advice is key to the daily functions and operations of their unit. Today, the Armed Forces continue to recruit Fijians. Of course, it's been a challenging year for all of us with the COVID situation, and the process has been difficult, but we've still had over 200 Fijians joining us in the current training year. My plea is that those of you who have achieved so much, please help, guide, and mentor our aspiring and newly recruited Fijians as they integrate it into life in the UK Armed Forces. Defence continues to show its commitment to you as it invests in its diversity and inclusion strategy. There is more to do, I know, but the Fijian Support Network, your network, is working on your behalf as a key interlocutor between the Fijian community and Defence. Of course, we've also removed historic institutional barriers to increasing diversity throughout the organisation, such as opening up all combat roles in the Armed Forces to women for the first time. And we already have Private Sala Yathake Ngaranilau, the first Fijian female infanteer who has passed out of the infantry training school in Catterick last month. So with over a century of proud mutual history between Fijians and the British Army, it is clear that we share a common bond of brotherhood, fighting side by side in challenging conditions in the face of determined adversaries. As we celebrate this 50th year anniversary, those challenges continue in the uncertain global political, environmental and economic conditions that we face, but we will continue to face them together. Thank you for everything that you have contributed. Vinaka Vakalevu, Danyabad, Faik, Yak Sae, and I wish you all a happy Fiji Day. Thank you.
So proud to fly your colors high, my island home. We are resilient and strong in trying times. With the Mbula spirit in us, if the world falls apart, we'll be united till the end. Strong as a family, yeah. 'Cause we are family.